We talked about the importance of focusing on a few OKRs. We talked about collaboratively cascading our OKRs throughout the organization. We talked about the importance of making OKRs transparent. And next, we're going to talk about the importance of making OKRs ambitious. There are two types of objectives. There are committed objectives and aspirational objectives. And we'll start out by talking about committed objectives. Committed objectives concern the logistics that make the company function and must be achieved in full. So if you're talking about like university, for example, committed objectives would be things like making enrollment quotas that, hey, we need this number of students in order to pay the bills, so we have to get that number of students. Another committed objective would be something like 4-year graduation rates. What else? Maybe number of courses offered, things like that. Things that really just concern day-to-day, let's keep the lights on logistics. And those objectives must be achieved in full. Then we have aspirational objectives, and aspirational objectives reflect bigger picture, higher risk, more future tilting ideas. So, for example, again, using a university as an example, an aspirational goal would be to increase enrollment in online degree programs by 1,000%, where it's not just greasing the wheels and keeping the engine going. It's really about creating something new, innovating, stretching yourself as an organization or as an individual. Many people in the business community refer to these by the unfortunate acronym BHAG for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goals. And these are goals which are really stretch goals, aspirational goals, trying to push you and the organization to your utmost limit of performance, things that might seem completely unachievable or unrealistic are BHAGs. If I want to make a car that gets 60 miles to the gallon, then I can tweak the current car that we have, right? I could try to make it lighter, more aerodynamic, smaller. I can make little tweaks to it to get from, say 30 miles to the gallon to 60 miles to the gallon. If I want to make a car that goes 500 miles on a gallon of gas, then I have to completely start over, right? I have to completely redesign what a car is and reconceive of what I think of a car is and how it converts gasoline into energy. That's the point of a BHAG. It's setting a goal so audacious that it causes you to question the standard, old, traditional structures and processes that your stretch goals, your BHAGs, should cause you as an individual and an organization to question how you do everything so that you can innovate and become that much better. Silicon Valley abides by the gospel of 10x, which is the idea that like when it comes to return on investment, you should be getting 10 times what you put into it. When it comes to performance improvements, you should get 10 times better. You should set goals to improve your performance by not 10% or 100%, but 1,000% should always be your goal. And 10x challenges the entire organization to improve. So in Measure What Matters, John Doerr recounts the story of YouTube setting the BHAG of 1 billion hours of total watch time, which was just a ridiculous goal at the time. And when they set that goal, it not only fired up the marketing department that was like, man, we got to get people to watch 1 billion hours of video on YouTube. It also fired up people in the who dealt with the technical end, who were like, man, we got to make sure that we have the technical capability to handle that much traffic. And so when you set these big audacious goals, they not only drive motivation and innovation in the department that's specifically responsible for accomplishing them, but it causes the entire organization to question how they're doing everything. And that is the point, to question everything, to innovate, to start over again. Now, and this is incredibly important, this is so important, that when you're setting these very audacious, very aspirational objectives, you must pair quantity objectives with quality objectives. That is, if you're going to make a lot more of something, you better have a way of checking to ensure that you're making them just as good or better than you were making them before. A really good example of this is Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo had the just amazingly insightful management philosophy of 8 is great, which means that frontline bankers were expected to push 8 products on each customer. And so they had this quantitative quota, 8 accounts, 8 products per customer. So what did the frontline workers do? They opened up fake accounts. How did they get away with this? There was no assessment of the quality of those products. So we have this quantity goal, 8 accounts, but there's no corresponding goal that's going to assess the quality of those accounts. And so what you wind up with is, yeah, a lot of accounts, but they're fake accounts. It's bad quality. So you have to, this is so important, whenever you set a quantity objective, you have to pair it with a quality objective to make sure that you're not just getting more, but you're getting more at the quality that you need. So a quantity objective might be, for me, like create a 50-slide, 90-minute OKR lecture to be presented in class to MBA students by January 1st to improve their understanding of organizational interventions. So this is in the SMART goal structure. This is a key result or an objective, depending on how you're looking at it, that really focuses on quantity. It's 50 slides, it's 90 minutes, right? Now, ideally, I would pair this with a quality goal. So MBA students achieve an average score of 90% on a 6-item in-class quiz concerning the OKR material 1 week after viewing the lecture to ensure they have understood and retained the information. So I've got my quantity goal, which is to make 50 slides and a 90-minute lecture. And then I pair that with a quality goal. I'm going to check to make sure that it's not just a long lecture, but that the lecture actually communicates the information that I want it to. Here's another example. Published 3 academic articles concerning leadership and organizational change in peer review management-oriented journals by January 1st in order to engage with the scientific community about these topics. That's quantity. I want 3 of them. And then quality would be at least 2 of these articles must be published in journals with an impact factor of 2.0 or greater to ensure I am conducting high-quality industry-relevant research. So I've got quantity, which is 3 academic articles, and I have quality, which is in this case, the literal quality of the article, the impact factor of the journal in which I'm publishing. So firms should fail to meet their aspirational objectives about half the time. You should meet your committed objectives 100% of the time, no question. But when it comes to aspirational objectives, you should be failing about half the time. If you are not failing half the time, then they are not aspirational enough. If you are hitting your aspirational OKRs every cycle, then you need to make them more difficult because you're not pushing people's ability. If you haven't gotten to the point where people fail, then you haven't gotten to the edge of their ability, right? You have to go past the edge of the ability into failure to figure out where people's ability lies. So you should be failing about half the time.